I have just bought arguably the best cheap phone, the best mid-range phone, and the best flagship phone, so that we can find out how much difference there actually is in 2025. Because on paper, this makes zero sense. The $1,300 flagship Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra has a 200 megapixel camera. So does the $300 Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. The Samsung has a premium metal and glass body, but so does this. The flagship has a large 5,000 mAh battery, but then actually the budget phone gets an extra 110 mAh on top of that. And you might say, oh, well, the difference now is AI. Flagship phones have AI, cheaper phones do not. But guess what? In 2025, even that is not the case. Both our $300 budget Redmi phone and our $500 mid-ranger, the new Samsung Galaxy A56, are stuffed with AI features. So here's how we're going to get to the bottom of this. We've got 8 categories, and in each one, we're going to see how well the budget, the mid-range, and the flagship phones score out of 10. To find out, ultimately, how much extra are you really getting for like 4.5 times the price with a flagship phone these days? So let's start with what the phones come with. Our budget phone has the phone on top, with, importantly, a pre-installed screen protector, which can actually save you a lot of pain in the future. We've got a silicone case, which feels surprisingly not budget with this textured inside, and then a somewhat dated but still functional USB-A to C cable. So no charger, but aside from that, a pretty complete experience. I'd give it 7 points. As for the mid-ranger, so this does vary from phone to phone, but as a general trend, you will often strangely see more expensive phones like this come with less stuff. Like here, there is no pre-installed screen protector, there is no case. It's literally USB-C to C cable and the phone. So if our budget device got 7 points, then I'd give this a 4. And likewise with our flagship phone, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. We've got the phone itself, and then, again, USB-C to C cable, which makes sense. If you're buying more expensive phones, you're more likely to also have a modern laptop that has USB-C ports instead of the older USB-A. But that aside, this is again a pretty scant unboxing experience. 4 points here too. So far, budget is in the lead. But what about build quality? Because 5 years ago, there used to be a pretty clear distinction. Premium phones were glass and metal, cheap phones were creaky plastic. But that is becoming less and less true now. Partly because every company wants to step away as a brand from just the impression of being a cheap company, but also partly because the cost to make the reinforced glass that actually goes onto a phone has come way down. I mean, there's no doubt that flagship phones still have the best materials. Like, these two have aluminium frames around them. The S25 Ultra has titanium, which is quite a bit stronger. These two have a slightly older type of glass on their screens, whereas the flagship phone uses the very latest glass available, Gorilla Glass Armor 2. But there are 2 important caveats that you have to bear in mind here. A, that even then, the difference now between flagship and cheap, between titanium and aluminium, and between the Armor 2 glass on the flagship and the Victus 2 glass on the cheapest phone is, for an average user, not a very big one. I mean, you will only notice it if you drop your phone. And there's a cushion right here, and we completely missed it. But then even if you do drop your phone, there's a pretty decent chance that the extra layer that you get on your screen thanks to this pre-installed screen protector will actually make just as much, if not more difference than any improvements to the glass itself on this phone. And B, the other interesting thing is that the budget phone is technically better built than the mid-ranger. Because while the front glass on our Redmi is built using tech from 2023, the front glass on the Samsung A56 is actually using tech from 2022, which is a little bit more susceptible to cracking. And also, while our budget Redmi phone has an IP68 rating, our mid-ranger only has an IP67, which means that even though the thing is $200 more expensive, it's actually less likely to be able to withstand water immersion. And of course, while this inverted hierarchy doesn't apply to every single budget and mid-range phone, this is also not a one-off. Like this, for example, is the Xiaomi 14T. Again, mid-ranger. It's way more expensive than our cheap Redmi, but it's got a plastic frame instead of aluminium, and it's got Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, which was introduced all the way back in, I kid you not, 2016. My theory is that while budget phones have to be designed to be very competitive and have a very current feature set, since price-conscious consumers are absolutely going to check all of the little details, the way that companies think about their mid-ranges is different. Oftentimes, mid-ranges feel like the company's way of packaging together components that were previously flagship, but aren't now new enough to put into the latest flagships, just to get rid of inventory, and that has its own compromises. So our budget phone feels high quality. It's weighty while also being comfy. I'd give it 7 points, leading to a total of 14 so far. Mid-ranger is not far off, but still behind, so I'd say 6 points here, bringing it up to 10 total, and then flagship can take a pretty easy 9 for build. It's better materials, but also executed in a more tasteful, premium way. So 13 points total. But now is where it goes from strange to just bizarre, because the way that you would expect this video to go based on pricing is pretty simple. You would think in every category, if the flagship scores a 9, then the mid-range would be about a 5 or a 6, and then the budget would be about a 3. But that's just not how it works anymore. Like with displays, for example. The flagship does have the best. It's bigger, it's got really tiny, really even borders for that futuristic aesthetic, which neither of the other two phones have been able to pull off, since getting those even borders requires some re-engineering on the inside, all with this absolutely sick anti-reflective coating that makes the thing clearly visible in all lighting conditions, while the other two phones are still prone to glare from light sources. But again, the budget versus mid-range battle goes the opposite way to what you would expect. This Redmi phone has a higher resolution than the A56. And while I definitely say Samsung still has enough pixels for almost anyone, it's still 1080p. Redmi has 30% more pixels within the same area. It's brighter. Redmi claims